Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel to today's video, which is going to be a review of the new Colourpop stick foundations. If you'll remember, if you don't, I'll tell you anyway, I tried the liquid foundation and if you remember correctly, did not like it. I know I'm not alone out there. It just did not sit well on my combo skin. I mean, it applied well, it looked beautiful, but for about 10 minutes before it started kind of breaking up, getting shiny, just not wearing well throughout the day. So Colourpop recently announced that they were launching these sticks and I really didn't have any interest. I think probably because knowing how poorly this performed for me, and I've just really been liking my Flower Beauty Light Illusion foundation. I like one less foundation to have to try and worry about, fine by me. Until Samantha Jane here on YouTube. I'll link to her channel down below. We've actually collaborated here before on YouTube. Fantastic channel. She not only talks about beauty, but also food, fitness, fashion, all that kind of stuff. So go subscribe to her if you haven't already, but she on Instagram was posting about this. And I had a moment where it was like, Katie Heron bought army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops, and here we are today talking all about this foundation. So let's just go ahead and get started. The no filter sticks retail for 10 bucks a piece, whereas the liquid foundation, no filter foundation, retails for 12. By comparison, I believe you get this typical 1 ounce of the liquid, but sticks you always get less. Instead, it's 0.34 ounces or 9.5 grams worth of product. The two shades I got, it was kind of, they have a great broad selection of shades on Colourpop's website, but I just had no good feel for what my shade would be. So I picked up Light 40N, which is way too light for me. I do have a video of me applying it and it's maybe gonna be a good winter shade for me, but too light for me now. And then I also have Light 67N, which is a closer match. You can see here. But the funny thing is, I looked back at the liquid and I got Light 75, so even one shade up, and that still fit me pretty nicely, so I have some wiggle room within this spectrum. So first, let's talk about the formula. To me, it leans on the lighter but drier end of things. For reference, there are a handful of stick foundations that I really, really like. I have a video of them here. I'm sure some of them are discontinued because it's an older video, but by comparison, say the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Stick Foundation. One of my absolute favorites, and I would say it is on the thinner side, but is a little bit more of a moisturizing formula. So this is dry in comparison to that one, just as a point of reference. Now, it's not so dry that it applies patchy or anything like that as I'm blending out, but just something to keep in mind. If you guys have drier skin, you might find that this maybe is less flattering on that dry skin as opposed to something that's a little bit more glowy. However, if that's the case, you might want to consider the liquid just because I found it to be more of a glowy, moisturizing formula on me. The coverage is pretty buildable. I wouldn't say it's super full. I mean, I definitely notice needing to go in with a color corrector and or concealer if I'm looking to really hide and conceal under eye discoloration, even some hyperpigmentation or freckles I have on my cheek area. If that needs to be covered, I found I had to go with my concealer, which for reference, I've been using the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer in the shade Light Beige. But that's kind of where we are in terms of how buildable it was. And the weirdest thing happened over the course of a few times that I actually tried this out. If you follow me on Instagram stories, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the first time I applied this, it was like around noon or 1 during the day. It was really just to like hit the ground running, give it a try, see how it applied, and then test the wear time after that. So first I applied the Light 40N first with a brush. I thought it applied pretty well, nice and buildable, liked how it laid. But again, because it wasn't really a full day wear test, I looked a lot less at how it lasted throughout the day. The next day, I applied it using a sponge, specifically this little ball sponge from Real Techniques that came in their Ruler of the Skies collection, I believe. I just did a video about it that I'll link to in case you're curious about it. But I dampened this and applied it, and I didn't notice it laying any worse or differently than it had when I used a brush to apply this foundation. But man, was the wear different. Like, not almost immediately, but pretty soon throughout the day. Like, I noticed difference between like noon and 1 and 2. My makeup fell apart dramatically within those hours. And I talked about it on my Instagram stories, asking if you guys had ever heard about this. One of you guys, super interesting, messaged me saying that Hourglass, I think it was Hourglass, that stick foundation, they instructed you only to use a brush because it's specifically supposed to be water resistant or waterproof. Probably water resistant, and as a result they don't want you using a damp beauty blender because it's going to affect how the product lays on the blender and then applies to your face. which makes total sense. However, I just double checked on the Colourpop website and it said you can use a brush or a sponge to apply. So as a heads up, I now have tested it back using a sponge again and it lasted pretty well. It's not the most steadfast formula I've ever tried. Personally, I still really like my Light Illusion foundation from Flower Beauty, or if we're talking stick foundations, my Makeup Forever Ultra HD, or I'm gonna have to go back and look at that video because I can't remember what are the other stick foundations I've been loving because I've just been on a roll with liquid for so long. But there are others that I like better besides this foundation. So it's not the worst for me. In fact, I recommend you again go check out Samantha's channel because she did a first impressions of this and a couple of other things that she picked up from Colourpop, and it actually ended up working out well for her. So definitely go check that out for another point of view. But in terms of my experience with this, first of all, always use a brush, lesson learned. And then it just, like I said, there are other stick foundations that I like more than this, and so it's probably not going to be a go-to everyday sort of foundation for me. Maybe, you know, well, I wish I'd gotten a deeper tone so I could maybe use it to contour or something like that, because otherwise I don't see myself using this on an everyday or really ever again when I have other products that I like more. And those are my thoughts on it, guys. So unfortunately, still no face products that really do it for me from Colourpop, which is okay. There are tons out there that I like, and there wasn't really a hole for that in my beauty routine anyway. But I hope this review is helpful for you guys anyway. If you have combo skin, or wondering about this foundation, or wondering about application techniques for this foundation, hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.